I know I like it warm better, but I've always liked it warm better. Yeah, Florida girl. I picked the wrong time to come here, didn't I? I see that they just opened the line. Moody had 2 red hot dogs. I might not even get a single question.
I don't know about that.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
all,
ahead.
all right,
You
everyone.
first, Jordan.
We're going to go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll continue our media availabilities for today. We're joined by Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 6 Ford for RFK Racing. Brad, this Sunday at Martinsville Speedway, you will have your 600th career NASCAR Cup Series start. How do you feel going into this weekend, and what does that mean to you?
I feel good. I mean, it's great to be back here. It's great to have cars that are super competitive and to be running up towards the front. To hit 600 starts is, a number I never really even dreamed of, to be honest with you. I never kind of thought that big. I just was trying to do my thing and do it the best I could, and kind of snuck up on me here. But it's always a lot of fun when the cars are fast and when things are clicking. And, somebody told me that Richard Petty won his 600 start and is the only one to do that. So that would be a cool club if we could join it. But, the last few races we've had here at Martinsville have not been particularly all that strong for us. But, I think we're bringing a lot of new things here, different things here for this weekend. And so I'm very optimistic about it. My teammate, Ryan Preece, I thought was one of the best cars here in the fall race. So we learned a lot from him and trying to apply that. So that's kind of the strength of having a 3-car team and having a teammate like Ryan that's really, really smart, really good on these tracks. And, of course, won at Bowman Gray to start the season, which I don't know if there's anything like Martinsville, but if there is, that's the closest we have on the schedule is probably Bowman Gray. So we're ready to go and locked and loaded.
All right, we will open it up to questions. If you have a question, raise your hand, and we will get a mic to you. We'll start in the front with Holly. We'll go to Zach, and then Peter.
Hi, Brad. Holly Kane
Holly.
with the NASCAR Wire Service. I wanted to ask you if you've noticed a difference in the way people are racing on track with the change in the point system, with the accumulating them over the season. Is that something that you've kind of consciously said, that's...
How I would say not at the moment. I am actually quite shocked. We haven't seen more of a difference. I don't think it's really clicked yet for a good part of the field who just never grew up racing in a system like this. And so they're going to have to adapt or be replaced. That's kind of how these sports work. And it's one of those things that sometimes you have to feel the pain first. I went back and rewatched the race at Darlington. I saw a number of moves that I was really surprised by. It was kind of like, hey, you're running an X spot and you need to just kind of finish out the day, even if it's not the day you wanted to have. And then, I see guys that, don't finish out the day. And you're like, oh, man, you can't do that with this format. You could do that with the old format. You could throw races away. You can't throw races away. And so, I think I'm surprised by the lack of adjustment I've seen so far, if anything, Hallie. But that'll come and go as teams and drivers figure it out. No problem.
We'll go to Zach. Sorry.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Brad, you said just a minute ago that you feel like there were things that you were able to learn from the 60 team and what they were able to do here last year. What are some of those things that you're able to pick up on? I know you can't divulge.
You want like the setup? No, I mean, Ryan's got some specific styles that he uses, Zach, that I think is noteworthy. And then I think that team has just a radically different approach to anything that I've ever raced here, which seems to be paying off. So I don't know if they were quite as good as the 24 and the 12 last fall, but they were right there with them. And so, really curious. We've made a lot of gains on the cars over the off season, and if we can throw those into one big heap and they're all as positive as we think they're going to be, this could be a great weekend for us. No problem.
Peter.
Brad over here, Peter Strada with TSJ Sports. Obviously, guys had the 3 Biffle throwback schemes last week. I'm just curious, how would you characterize the relationship you had with Biffle as competitors, and then after his full-time driving career, being so involved with Roush?
Yeah, Greg and I knew Greg when he started in the Truck Series. I was only 14 years old, I think, we started in the Truck Series, and I had a lot of respect for him. I don't think he probably knew who I was, but that's okay. And then started to race against him in the Cup, and even before then, the NASCAR Nationwide Series it was at the time. I had a few run-ins with him, which probably weren't pleasant for either of us. But then over time, I think grew respect for him. And after he finished racing, at least full-time, I've gotten to know him through a couple other endeavors, whether it be his off-road racing or at one time he had some collection of businesses and fun things that we participated in together. So it became more of a business relationship before he passed away. That said, still really tragic and tough thing to see.
Sorry.
John Newby, Fan Buzz. So if you look at the organization that last year before you came on in your current role, like they had some strong runs, weren't as competitive, and since then, the entire organization's won some races, made the playoffs, also missed the playoffs. So I was curious, how does that compare with the progress you wanted to see, especially as you're looking at wanting to win 5 races this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's some bright spots and some dark spots for sure. Last year was the only year since I've been in RFK we didn't win a race, but we did a lot of other things really, really well. So it was disappointing to not push through with the category that means the most. Off the track, last year was the best year we've ever had. On the track, it was not anything remarkable. We have to do both. We have to have perform well as a business, and we have to perform well on the racetrack. And I think this year we're poised to do that at the highest level that we have since I've been a part of RFK. So I'm really pleased at that. But ultimately, it's to be judged as successful in this sport, you have to win. And you have to win and be a contender to win regularly. I sense that we're not far off of that, but we're also not there. So we're somewhere in this ambiguous spot between the two. I'm hopeful that we can, push through with some kind of stellar performance here early in the season and kind of assert ourselves in that way. We were close last week. This weekend will be another one of those opportunities that I feel really good about. So, obviously, not meaning to discredit Ryan winning the Clash, but we need to win the regular races. We need to win the points-paying races, and we need to be in contention to do that on a regular basis. So, we're not everywhere I want us to be, but we are inching closer to that goal, and I'm just thrilled to see that growth. It never comes fast enough. It certainly doesn't come in the way that you would want it to come all the time, but there has been a lot of progress.
Right up here in the front.
Brad, Jermaine Farrell, WFXR in Roanoke. Again, congratulations on 600 starts coming up. Moving ahead a little bit, you guys have a week off next week, and then you go to Bristol, another short track. Just your thoughts about racing at Bristol, and what stands out about racing at Bristol?
Oh, I love going there. I love the challenge. The first few laps at Bristol, when you pull it on that racetrack and you drive down into the corner, you kind of come up to speed and go through the gears and just drive it into the corner ridiculously hard, and you feel the G-forces through your body, and it will take your breath away. It's just an incredible feeling. There's not a track on the circuit where you feel more like a race car driver than Bristol. And that would make a lot more sense if you rode in the right side of the car, which I wouldn't recommend. But it's such a thrill. And when they drop the green, and you're just thinking to yourself, how are they going to get 40-some cars around this track at the same time? Like, when there's 10 out here, it feels like there's a lot. And they drop the green, and it's just crazy to be a part of and to feel that energy on the track and even off the track with the crowds and that Coliseum-like effect. It's a special place. Around.
Hey, Brad. Eric Johnson, WSLS out of Roanoke. You talked about as a team being close, and then for you personally, the past few weeks, racing towards the front. What is the next step in order to translate that, in your perspective, for that to be a win in victory lane?
Well, Eric, we want to have that blinding speed like the 45 car had last week. That speed where you can have issues and still win. That's what we haven't experienced. We've had some close moments with it, but we haven't fully experienced it. If we can bring that to the racetrack, that would just make my day and make me feel really special. And we've been close. We've had some races where we've been really good, but haven't been able to close it out with that blinding speed. But a lot of talk about Tyler obviously this week, but they just won last week with flat out speed, and that's a rare thing to see in the next gen era, because the car was intentionally designed with some level of parity. And so when you see a group that wins on just blazing speed, it's notable in my mind.
We'll go to Kelly and then Deb.
Kelly CrandallRacer.com. How close are we, Brad, to getting rid of the cane?
And never close enough. I can walk without a cane, Kelly, but it causes limping and other problems that are just not good for me. So I'm, when I'm walking short distances, I don't use it at the racetrack. There's the crowds and things that are around me, would make it really hard for me. So. At home, I walk without a cane, but at the racetrack, I really need it to, make sure that I'm in the best shape possible when it's time to get in a race car.
Looking ahead to tomorrow with the higher horsepower, I know you were one of the drivers a couple weeks ago that said you were eager to see what it was going to do here. So now that we're here, what's your anticipation of how it's going to feel behind the wheel, and then what that should translate to what we will see on the track?
Comers and goers. That's going to be, to me, the story of the race. This is a different race than the fall race, simply because it's a 400-lap race. And the dynamic shift is really huge, losing those 100 laps. It changes the way the stagers play, and it changes the way the tires fall off, specifically the penalty for the tire fall off. In the fall race, the stages are longer. And if you make a mistake and you burn your tires off, you might have to run for 20, 30 laps, half a second off the pace, and probably will lose a lap. This race here with shorter stages, there's not as much of a threat, so you can drive the car a little bit harder, I think, than you can in the fall race, and get away with it. But that said, the last stage is a very long stage. I can't remember the exact lap count on that. It's 120, 130 or something like that. I'll know that before the race tomorrow, but it'll be interesting to me to see how the field plays the race, because I almost feel like it'll be a more aggressive race than what you saw in the fall, simply because of the stages.
Deb.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. Brad, congratulations on 600 starts. And when
Thank you. I haven't gotten in the car yet, but
I have
good
faith
Lord
in
willing, Deb, I don't get hit by lightning.
I have faith in you. When you reflect on those, you come from a racing family. And when you reflect on that, what was it that you learned from your dad or maybe both parents that has been really good for you, steered you well through that time?
Well, my dad was just a flat-out work ethic guy. And when I think of racing around him and my uncle, both of them were that way. And growing up with them, they made sure I knew that no matter whatever I did in my life, I would never work as hard as they did. And they were right. And sometimes, I have a little bit of guilt over that. My mom and dad drove to every racetrack. They drove to California for a race. I do not do that. I fly in airplanes. It's interesting now because, Deb, you've seen this sport through the years, how much it's changed. And a lot of that is with respect to the fact that it went to a 36-race schedule, and the demands and the sponsors and all that just kind of elevated with it. But, I mean, there was a time where race teams had, 3 cars, 4 cars, and if you wrecked one, you worked all night and barely made it to the racetrack, the next week. And I remember watching my dad do that. I remember watching him in the Truck Series, and he had 2 race trucks, and he wrecked in 2 consecutive weeks, and they had no race truck to race the next week. I remember that. I remember him working, 3 all-nighters. And so coming to this garage in this day and age, that's not the way it works, right? It's very much the opposite. Everything's super controlled, and there's a lot of respect to labor laws that probably didn't exist back then as well. And it's still possible to outwork people. It's probably more possible today, and that was probably the biggest thing, and that at least stands out to me. And my dad was really big, although he probably wouldn't self-describe it this way, but I can now. But my dad had a lot of agency, which was, if you didn't like the way things were going, you jumped in and fix it and solve it, and don't sit back and wait for the world to solve it for you, because it's probably not. And I like to think that those 2 things are the biggest things I took from them throughout my career. But certainly different eras, different genres, and I'm fortunate to be where I'm at.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Good luck this weekend.
Terrific. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your hot dogs.
Everyone, the media bullpen is officially open. We're going to have Connor Zillich, Kyle Larson, and Ryan